The tips I'm about to share with you guys now are workable tips. That tips that a whole lot of people have tried, have been trying, and I'm still trying, and they have been working. Try these tips and thank me later. Now let's get into the video. Hello lovelies, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's still me, your baby girl M&E. If you are new here, if you're seeing my face for the first time, welcome. Please try and subscribe, turn on your notification bell to always know anytime we drop any content on this page. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for always stopping by to check out my little contents on this page. Please keep coming, I love that. So guys, in today's video I'll be sharing with you guys the tips that you need to land yourself that your dream job. Do you have a job you've always wanted? Do you have a place you've always wished you want to work with them? Okay, I'll be sharing with you guys today the tips that you can possibly apply to see yourself getting your dream jobs. I have tried these tips. I know so many others that have tried it and it's working for them, and let's say to an extent, or always, it has always worked for me. I have to use the first thing you have to do is to create a list, or just write down the names of the friends, the company, the place you wish or you want to work. Okay, the tips I'll be sharing with you guys today might not necessarily involve some government parastatals, because you know those ones that like they're on a class of their own. They are Swiss generics, like they have their own rules and principles. So I haven't really tried that, or have not seen people that tried applying it to such governmental agencies that it worked for. Or I in particular, I've never even tried. Talk more of that, it didn't work. So when you are done listing these places that you would love to work, or these companies that you would want to work with, the next thing to do is for you to enter an in-depth research. When I mean in-depth research, you have to pick up each of the companies, study who the owner is, how they work, you know, the period within which they normally employ people. You have to consider a whole lot of things about the firm, and this time, like, you are doing a due diligence search. You know what, when one is doing a due diligence search, that's how you are going to conduct a due diligence investigation, research on the company or on the firm. So when you are done doing this, mind you, whatsoever thing or information you are gathering from this should not limit you to an extent, except perhaps you discover something that might eventually make you to remove or strike out the name of the firm or company from the list of friends or company or places you would want to work with. But apart from that, even if you find out that okay, there is currently no opening, or that they take people only once a year, that should not deter you, that should not stop you from planning, that should not stop you from trying, that should not discourage you at all. So once you are done with this, the next thing you have to do is make sure you note down the essential or important things. At least, okay, the role you would want to work as, try to find out what you might need to do in that role, because for each job this time around, or for each CV, or for each application you will be making, you would like to include, you will be including some, you know, specific and particular details that you got from this research. So you cannot be doing this research and tell me that you are doing it and putting them in your head. No, you are doing this research. Any information you are getting from each of the companies, each of the friends, you are writing them down somewhere, and you are taking note of these major things. You are noting what the company is into. You are noting the particular role you want to, or you might want to work for. Okay, if you don't really have a particular role per se, you might want to, like, you know, look for how to carve a niche for yourself. Probably, okay, let me use for instance, you would just want to work in the litigation department. You might want to cover all the field in the litigation department. You might want to, you know, mention some of the legal things that they have done, and then relate it to your own particular experience to suit you for that particular position. Because you know, especially all these big leagues, all these big companies, that they will receive hundreds of applications on a daily, and you really have to make your application stand out for you to be invited subsequently for this interview or for this job or something of that nature. So we are still in the second one, which is for you to do an in-depth research on the company or the firm. So once you are done doing this, you move over to the next stage, which is now to draft your CV. Now, I must emphasize this. I know I made some of these mistakes as a result of laziness, or as a result of me being nonchalant, or me not being particularly interested in that particular organization. But I just want to send in an application to see what comes out of it. But if it is a firm you are particularly interested in, you want to work with, then you must do this. The third one is that for each organization, you must have a separate CV to suit what they want. I'm not telling you that you should go and start writing what you're not in your CV, but you know how to present your CV and make it look palatable, make it look presentable, make it look attractive to whosoever that will be reviewing those CVs. When I mean, okay, let's say you want to apply for the position of a legal associate in that firm, and the firm, they are mainly into oil and gas. So in my CV, I will expect to write that, okay, I've been working with a particular law firm. Let me use JB Daudu and Co, for instance. And while I was working in JB Daudu and Co, I was in the team that handled the major oil spillage in Delta State, which later led to, like, even in your cover letter, you have to make reference to some of these oil related jobs that you've done. You have to make them know that yes, you have background knowledge, even if you are not a master, even if you are not a pro, but at least you know about oil, you know about oil and gas, you know what the law for oil and gas is, because you don't expect them, like I said earlier on, it's going to be pretty much competitive. So you have to make yourself, you have to sell yourself, and the only way you can sell yourself at first is by having a presentable CV. Most times, if you feel that you're not so good, or you might not be so detailed, or you might not be so calm to write your CV or cover letter, I would advise you look for experts. I will advise you look for friends. But most time, for me, when I'm in their need of a particular company, or I'm particularly interested in a company, I would love to write it myself, because I would like to be as pretty much detailed as possible. Perhaps when you're done writing it, you can send it to all these professional writers, CV writers, and tell them, okay, I wrote this because this is what I think, so you can just help me touch it up, add one or two things, add flesh to it, but not don't leave it at their mercy, because sometimes they might not know how you want to portray it, or they might not understand how you want to portray yourself, or something of that nature. But most of them, especially the really good ones, they will always research about the company. They will always ask for the role you want to apply to, and probably know how to. I have to emphasize on this issue of creating a separate CV and a separate cover letter to suit each firm you are applying to. This is because your CV is the selling point. Your CV is and cover letter is your first point of contact. The employers do not know you. They do not know you from Adam. They do not know you from anywhere. So what will really entice them? What will really make you interesting? What would really make them to invite you for that particular position when they have hundreds, thousands of applications for that particular role? Is it because you are special? Is it because your name is Meckie? Is it because your name is Blessing? Is it because your name is whatsoever? Obviously, it's your CV. So you really have to make your CV stand out. I keep on saying this. If it's something you want, if you cannot afford to pay a professional to draft your CV and your cover letter for you, then sit down, research, and do it yourself. You can do it yourself. I'm not lying to you. I, in particular, I have never paid anybody to write my CV for me. There are ways to do this, or you check out other people's own, or there are so many sites now that will even help you to review your CV when you are done writing it. Just try to put your CV there. They will even help detect errors as such and all. And I know even when you create an Indeed account and they tell you to upload your CV, Once you upload your CV there, they will help you identify the errors. They will help you, make some at least small adjustments. Just try out one or two. I can remember one time that I was done writing my CV and cover letter for a particular job. To me, the CV was flawless. To me, the CV was perfect. And in fact, I did work scatter, only for me to now upload as usual. I decided to upload my CV on the Indeed app, and I'm sure if you've been using Indeed app, or you know how Indeed app works, then you understand exactly what I'm saying. So when I uploaded the CV, it detected some errors for me, and to my greatest surprise, one of the errors that were detected, the first was like the first one on a CV, like I reviewed almost 4 times before uploading it on the Indeed app. This is to tell you like the extent I go in trying to make sure that my CV is in order before I eventually even send it out. That's when I am trying to apply to a firm that I am pretty much interested in. Mind you, there are some jobs I just see, I just pull out a CV from my laptop, I just pull up another cover letter, change the address, and I send it out like that. But it's not all firms that you will just wake up, try to send, or try to do such trials and errors with. Forget it, they won't call you, because most of these top tier firms, or most of these big league firms, they are so busy and they receive thousands of applications on a daily. So you really have to try and distinguish yourself. I would keep on emphasizing on this until you understand the extent or why it is necessary for you to do so. So as I was saying earlier, I saw that the place, that's the format of a CV. The first is usually like your personal interest or your personal statement or something of that nature. So for that particular CV, I used personal statement. Believe me that my statement, I wrote STATMENT. There was no E in it, and the system detected it as a spelling error. I was so shocked. That's like the first thing on your CV. Like, how come after you finish writing your whole personal address, phone number, email, and all, next probably that's like the first page? What was I thinking? How come I didn't see this? And I've reviewed this CV like how many times? That's to show you that most times your mind think faster than what you write. Do you understand? So it's not the way you are thinking it in your mind that you are writing it down. That's why it's always good to double check, not just you checking it, because sometimes you can be reading it again and you will find out that your mind is still reading what you wanted to write. Your mind is not even reading what your mind is seeing on the screen, but your mind is reading what it has always wanted to see and what it has always wanted to write. So it's either you give it to a third party, or you use some of these apps online to make sure that and always don't forget to justify. And I always keep telling people this: if you must send your application, send it out using a system. Do not send it with your phone, because sometimes if they are doing it with a system, it's not the way that you sent it through your phone that it will come back to them. I'm not saying this is always the case, but I think it's preferably and it is safer for you to use a laptop. So you just do your Ctrl+J, justify your work, make sure all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted, your punctuation marks are in order. Always give a third party that you feel is better off, feel like your neighbor is so good in English language, or your roommate, gives to the person to review. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Sometimes your hand is typing the opposite of what your head is saying. That doesn't mean that you're not smart. That doesn't make you less of, or make you less, or any other thing of such nature. Just for you to be on the safe side. These things I'm saying that you have to do, or the tips I'm giving you here, are for firms that you really want. Then the third thing I'll have to point out here is, before you send out that CV to that email, send it to another of your emails. Someone like me, I have up to 4 email addresses. So anytime I have such official or important emails to send, I usually direct the email to one of my emails in such a way that I will receive it like I am the receiver, I am the employer. I will open it, read it, and see whether it makes sense to me. This is still part of trying to double check, trying to cross check and all. I will see the one receiving the email. I I will see whether I've even attached the right documents. And when I'm done doing this, I will now have to edit and re-forward that particular email. But this time around, I'm not sending it as forwarding or forwarding email to someone. So if you know you can't edit properly at this stage, before it will be like you're forwarding an email you forward to someone, to an organization you're applying to, please start afresh. But this time around, repeat everything you did while sending to yourself. That is, if you feel the way you receive the message is okay. Because if it is not okay, then you do some correction, send back to yourself until you receive it in that perfect state that you want. Then you can now go ahead, apply that same method, or copy and paste, and then forward to your employer to avoid stories that touches the heart, to avoid you wanting to type dear man, you are trying to, and you see yourself typing dear madman. That one is total major steps before making any application, is to find out the person receiving the application. Is it a he? Is it a she? If you do not know, preferably to be on the safe side, just, or in the part of caution, just say human resource manager. That's when you've researched and definitely you've seen that the office or the company have human resource manager. You know, in some other firms or companies, they have different names that they refer to their human resource manager. So just make sure you find out these, because you know, some people, at least it will show that you've done your research. You know, yes, the person doing this is a woman. It makes the person feel like, oh, it feels like the person that sent this really knows me. So at least that sense of, oh, this person knows me. I'm not saying it's a guarantee that you're getting it, but at least it's better than, okay, the person receiving it is a man and yes, the person is seeing a woman. What if it is a team that is receiving this? So you just have to be careful the way you address your cover letter to avoid your cover letter causing you problems. And I know most jobs will always say putting a cover letter is optional. My dear, there is nothing optional about submitting a cover letter with your CV, especially when it is a company you want to work with, especially when it is a firm that is very, very competitive. It is in that cover letter you have to explain yourself better. It is in that cover letter you will show what you've got. You will show your writing skills, because CV, most times all of them usually have almost the same format. Utilize that cover letter to explain in details, to cross all your T's, or to show any gap in your CV. Make sure you always attach a cover letter when you are sending out an application to a very important place. Please, it is not optional, it is compulsory. After you are done submitting your email or submitting your application, the next step for you to take is for you to make sure that you send follow-up emails, especially when there is a current job opening in that firm. It's not like you should every 2 days you'll be sending them follow-up email. No, you don't do that. You are not the only person they are attending to. You probably send a follow-up email telling them, hello, I applied for the position of this, depending on the opening that they have. This is especially when the company have a current opening. They stated it on your website or you saw it somewhere. Then you refer to the date which you sent your earlier email. You just tell them, okay, I didn't receive any acknowledgement email, or I didn't receive any other email. So I just want to confirm whether my email has been received by the firm. That should be your first email to them. Not too much story, straight to the point. Then subsequently, probably, you know, most applications or most job opening come with a closing date. Then you have to wait again till after the closing date before sending another follow-up email. So after the closing date, you send another follow-up email. You refer to the date that was the closing date, that you still haven't heard from them. Hope all is well. Really like to get a feedback concerning an application you made to them on so dates. Yes, so after that, then you wait. Most law firms will definitely get back to you. Like, I have tried it and it has really worked. Most law firm at this particular point in time will either get back to you telling you, sorry, we do not have the space again, or sorry, the vacancy has been occupied, or sorry, we are still in the process, but we'll get back to you shortly. And most of them will even not respond. Where they have not responded, forget it, but just make sure you put in your application, because the simple truth I'm about to tell you people here right now, I usually do this thing like keep a pool, because I know, like, recently I've been getting like several invitations, several phone calls from some of these top tier friends, companies that I applied to long ago. I've even probably forgotten that I made applications to them. Just last week, I received an email from one of these top tier auditing firms telling me I should kindly confirm that the email and the details that they attached a CV that I sent to them some time ago is still my current CV. I can't even remember applying to them. I just clicked on the CV, and when I opened the CV, to my greatest surprise, that was a CV I sent. That's my NYSC year of service. That was when I made the application. And you can imagine, 3 years after, 2 years after, they are calling me, they are sending me an email to say I should send an updated CV if this is not my current CV. I was baffled. So don't give up. Insofar as you've done your best, you've done your due diligence in making that application, most times they will always get back to you. And it's not just them. Another top tier law firm I applied to during my NYSC, they scheduled me for an interview recently. I am not exaggerating, because this time around I made that application with some of my friends, and just like the way we made that application, we all were invited for that particular interview. But because it was not within Abuja anymore, I couldn't go for it and I couldn't take it. Yes, just this year I've received like 3 different reminders from old applications. That is the importance of making a due diligence application. Trust me, sooner or later they will always get back to you. So don't be in a hurry and say if thousands of persons are applying, so when will they get to me and all that. Don't be discouraged. Always put in your application, even if they are recruiting or not. One day you will just be surprised and you'll be shocked that they will contact you, and that is how you will find yourself working in your dream place. So if you just finished watching this video now, I know that these tips I just shared here will be of help to anybody you know. Please do not hoard it. Kindly share with friends, invite people to like my page. Every other person can feel free to comment and give us more tips that I can also apply, and every other person that have watched this video or is coming here can also apply, to get their dream and desired place of work. Thank you.